Hello there, and welcome. Yesterday I read for you one of my very favorite pieces of American rhetoric, the Gettysburg Address. And today I think it'd be nice for us to consider what Lincoln did in that lecture and how we might use his techniques to write our own stance. The first thing I might suggest is read a lot of Shakespeare. Lincoln famously loved Shakespeare and read a good deal of Shakespeare, and I think part of the reason Shakespeare is such an effective person for rhetoricians to read is that he wrote his plays not just from his own genius, because he really was a genius, but he also used the greatest actors of the day to test his material. So he would write it and they would prepare and start rehearsing it. And I am certain that after he wrote it and they were performing it, if there was any awkwardness, they would revise it so that it was better, it fit better, it worked better, it had a more successful sound. So, there are some things that Lincoln does in the Gettysburg Address, some rhetorical techniques he uses that I think might be useful for us, and I think it might be useful for all of us to create a lecture, if nothing else, just for our own hearts, just to consider and to occupy for a while, to think about and to guide us. And so the Gettysburg Address is really about the stance of what American government was supposed to be. He says this is what our government is supposed to be. That's the stance. And he makes the argument for it, and he argues that that's something worth fighting for and dying for. So what do you feel that strongly about that you think is worth really putting work into? What is it that you think really is valuable, and then make a stance about what it should be? If you think your family is valuable and powerful and worth working on, write a lecture about what that family should be. What should it be like? What should it consist of? What should it require of its members? If your interest is more in church, what kind of church should your church be? What kind of state should your state be? What kind of meal should a meal be? It's not so much the content, it's your feeling about it, your ideas about it, and what you think is worthy of a stance of saying, this is my idea of how a thing should work. Certainly teachers should have in their minds an idea of their real mission. What is the best classroom like? What does the best classroom offer? That best classroom, that classroom that's meant for every student who decides to take up the challenge of learning something new, what classroom are you going to offer? And if you can write your lecture about what a classroom should be, then I think this coming year will be a beautiful and productive and surprisingly satisfying year. It will also be frustrating and upsetting and hard to deal with. Good luck. That's it for today. I hope you have a glorious rest of the day. And I hope you see me soon, you gorgeous people.